Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Anna Manuel. President Biden taking on inflation today, with rising prices a top issue for Americans heading into midterm elections. Biden's administration says they're doing everything they can to fix it, but Republicans say not true. Lauren Blanchard in Washington with more.
I know the families all across America are hurting because of inflation.
Tuesday, President Biden laying out a plan to fight inflation, supply chain problems, and high energy costs. Gas prices have skyrocketed to a new record. On average, according to AAA, it's $4.37 a gallon. Diesel, $5.55.
This is a process, but it's a process that I've been consistent about, wanting to lower prices and shift to renewable energy so we're not as dependent.
Other places Americans are feeling the pinch compared to a year ago, trying to buy a car, take a trip, new furniture, and groceries.
Whatever's on sale, that's what we go for.
Now, inflation is absolutely a problem, and it's critical to address it.
The administration's plan to help Americans save? They're releasing oil from the strategic reserve, trying to make prescriptions more affordable and make sure producers aren't price fixing your groceries. Plus, the president wants to push Congress to pass legislation to help with child care costs, build more homes, and raise taxes on the wealthiest.
I don't think more spending or tax cuts are going to be easy to achieve. So if he wants a way out of this, a moratorium on all those regulations he's talking about would be helpful.
According to a new Fox poll, a majority of Americans believe this inflation is here to stay for at least another year or more. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
The Biden administration announcing a plan to get high-speed internet service to more low-income Americans. They said almost 24 companies have agreed to provide the internet service at a discount. An existing federal subsidy will be used to pay for it.
How many times have you seen a mom or dad drive up to a parking lot outside of McDonald's and just so they could get connected to the internet so their kid could do their homework during the pandemic, literally? It's just not right. It's not who we are. We saw during the pandemic how essential high-speed internet really is.
Households must qualify based on income and through their participation in one of several other federal programs, including Medicaid, Pell Grants, and the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. The Biden administration says current participants in those programs will be contacted to discuss their eligibility. Lauren Pazienza, the New York woman accused of shoving an 87-year-old voice coach to her death, is now behind bars after previously being out on bail. She pleaded not guilty through her lawyers on an indictment charging her with first-degree manslaughter and 2 counts of second-degree assault in the death of Barbara Gustern. Pazienza allegedly pushed the voice coach down in an unprovoked attack in March. She faces between 5 and 25 years behind bars if convicted. A gruesome scene in Philadelphia after a car crashes into SEPTA station, hitting at least 2 pedestrians in the early morning hours. Steve Keeley spoke to police who described the scene, and we want to warn you, some viewers may find this disturbing.
There's a police officer that was actually on a beat out here at Kensington and Allegheny. We always have police out here. And the police officer heard the vehicle coming, then saw it, and believed that vehicle was easily going 100 miles an hour eastbound on Allegheny Avenue. Then it jumped the curb at Kensington and Allegheny, and that's when it struck a turnstile. We believe it struck 3 pedestrians and then struck the building itself.
Veteran cops said they never saw a more horrific, gruesome scene with these victims.
It's really gruesome. One of the pedestrians that's closest to the vehicle clearly decapitated and parts of his body dismembered. And parts of the body were actually burned because immediately after this accident, the engine compartment of the vehicle caught on fire. Now, the other pedestrian that's closer to the building, just a few feet away from the front of the vehicle, appears to be a female. Her body is also mangled, crushed, to the point where all 3 of these victims were pronounced dead immediately on location.
As reactions to the leaked Supreme Court abortion decision continue, Congress acts to protect the justices. The Senate passing a bill late Monday to improve security for Supreme Court justices, providing better protection for them and their families. Crowds have gathered outside the court and the justices' houses, voicing support and anger for the potential decision. The bill passed the Senate with no objections and now moves to the House. Day 77 of the Russian-Ukrainian conflict sees the U.S. resurrect a World War II program. President Biden signing a bipartisan measure which reboots the Lend-Lease program, which helped defeat the Nazis. The program will send weapons and supplies to Ukraine as Congress is set to pass $40 billion worth of aid heading to President Zelensky. Echoes of World War II rang through Europe Monday as both Russia and Ukraine celebrated Victory Day, the anniversary of the end of the conflict, which Russian President Vladimir Putin used as a rallying cry for his country. Officials are desperately seeking answers after the manhunt for a murder suspect and the prison guard accused of setting him free ends in turmoil. Jackie Ibanez has more on the capture of Casey White and Vicky White and a look at what officials are calling their special relationship.
The manhunt for Casey White and Vicky White ending as dramatically as it started. Law enforcement in Evansville, Indiana, slamming their car into the suspect's vehicle Monday after the pair was spotted near the sheriff's office and tried evading officers.
The Marshals Task Force officers intercepted them, actually collided with them to try to end the pursuit. When this occurred, the female driver of the vehicle shot herself, and the passenger was injured.
Officials then apprehended the escaped Alabama murder suspect and the former corrections officer accused of helping him break free, more than a week after they first disappeared. The pair was rushed to the hospital after the crash. Mr. White sustained minor injuries, but officials say Miss White died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head.
Well, they're criminals. Sometimes they do things that are unexplainable.
The Whites were not related, but authorities say they were involved in a, quote, special relationship. The pair vanished from Alabama's Lauderdale County Jail on April 29th after Miss White told co-workers she was taking Mr. White for a court-ordered mental health evaluation. A lie officers say has impacted everyone among their tight-knit ranks.
There's no excuse for what she did. In spite of that, she was family, and our employees are going to take it very hard.
The hunt for the Whites stretched across 3 states. Mr. White is expected to be extradited back to Alabama as the investigation into his escape continues. Jackie Ibanez, Fox News.
Your complete forecast is next. Plus, you may be paying more each time you swipe that credit card. We'll explain. Stay with us.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Well, the quiet and warming weather continues for the Elmira area and for much of the Northeast as we see a high pressure system is settling in. Even over the weekend, we've been warming since about Friday, looking at even taking Friday's temperature and adding 20 degrees to that as we hit those mid 70s on Monday. And even your Tuesday, we climbed well within those 70s and continue to see this warming trend through the week ahead for us. And it's easy to warm as we continue to see that blue sky. Here's the National Weather Service in Binghamton, not a cloud moving its way through the area. Now, do remember this time of the year with the higher sun angle, those warmer temperatures, hydration and sunscreen is key. So if you plan to be outside, you'll want to make sure to have both of those things with you, water and that sunscreen. Now, looking at as we head into the overnight under those clear and calm skies, again falling into those 40s, not looking at anything record breaking, but a little bit of a chill in the morning, but we quickly turn around under that sunshine. Pleasant weather continues to stay in place. Lots of sunshine again for your Wednesday. Now, we will see that temperatures continue to trend above average. As we hit those mid 70s on Monday, we're expected to stay here through at least that Saturday forecast. Now, there are going to be several records broken all across the continental United States. There's a lot of warmth there that's building as there is a large low pressure system over into more the Midwest region that's allowing for the warmth to build up through the Mississippi Valley and then all the way through that East Coast. So we will see, we'll watch it, but not record breaking as records sit into those lower 90s, and we're looking at those lower 80s for the next few days. But when we will watch for some changes will come on Saturday, as that's when a cold front associated with that low pressure system that's bringing severe weather into the Midwest the next few days, that's what's going to move into our area and bring some weekend storms. So enjoy the pleasant weather while you can, because the weekend might not allow for you to get outdoors. Overall, your Wednesday forecast keeps that blue sky, bright sunshine, and high temperatures back into those mid to upper 70s. So a pleasant spring-like weather, allowing for that growing season to continue to uptick. Now we are going to see topping off just below that 80-degree marker. Definitely can say that 80s will be on that board across the area for your Wednesday. Nice and calm winds as well, so not getting relief from the heat. That's why staying hydrated is key. Across the area, we are looking at those temperatures anywhere from those mid 70s to nearing that 80-degree marker, all the way through Binghamton, looking to hit that 78-degree marker. Average for this time of the year is about 70 degrees. Thursday continues that warmth. Here's where we'll touch those 80s. So I was looking at those records, but we'd have to hit 92 degrees on Thursday for Elmira to stay its record. Some areas, especially in the north country of New York, is having that potential to talk about some records. Now, although we're not talking about records, you're definitely going to feel that summertime heat. As we head into your Friday forecast and the weekend where some storm chances fall, we are looking at moisture return, and that's going to be ahead of that cold front. So moisture building from the Gulf all the way through the East Coast will give us some of that humidity feel on Friday with the 80s, and then that moisture is going to fuel the chance for some isolated storms on Saturday and Sunday before temperatures look to take a tumble into next week.
The job market continues to expand, even in the midst of inflation and interest rate hikes. But just because there's plenty of open positions doesn't mean they're in high demand. Kevin Cork has a look at how the ongoing worker shortage could impact future economic recovery.
Hiring woes continue plaguing the country as fears over a possible recession loom. Still, federal employment data is sending mixed signals.
We have now created a total of 8.3 million jobs in my first 15 months in office. The unemployment rate now stands at 3.6%.
On one hand, job growth is proving steady, even as inflation remains at a 40-year high. Unemployment is still hovering around its lowest rate in roughly half a century. The Labor Department on Friday also reporting the country added 428,000 new positions just last month. So where are all the workers?
You cannot find anybody to apply for work.
For every unemployed person, analysts suggest there's at least 2 open jobs, creating steep competition for workers, especially in industries seeing increased growth, including leisure, hospitality, and manufacturing.
Right now I have approximately 12 people on staff, and we need probably 15 to 17.
And economists predict this ongoing worker shortage could jeopardize long-term economic recovery.
The supply of labor remains constrained, and that in turn is going to put upward pressure on wages and ultimately upward pressure on prices.
Financial experts say the job market could actually start winding down in the near future, saying a decline is only natural after a prolonged period of growth.
New disturbing news about how your tax dollars have been spent and misspent on the program meant to help out people during the pandemic. David Spunt has the story from the Justice Department.
More than 2 years into the pandemic, multiple oversight officials estimate that fraudsters stole at least $100 billion in COVID relief loan funding meant to help small businesses survive.
I think people made a conscious decision. We're going to get the money out, and if there's fraud, you'll chase it later. And that's just not an acceptable model.
Fox News sat down with Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horowitz, chair of the Pandemic Response Accountability Committee, a group made up of inspectors general overseeing COVID relief fraud.
The Treasury Department has a do not pay system. Well, it turned out 57,000 loans were paid out in those first few weeks to individuals who are on the do not pay list.
That list includes known fraudsters. Authorities have arrested hundreds, and Fox News is told more are in the pipeline. According to court documents, Richard Avazian and his wife, Marietta Terabellian, adopted fake identities and secured at least $18 million in Paycheck Protection Program loans. Both on the run, Richard was sentenced to 17 years, his wife 6.
You selfishly took it literally out of the mouths of babes.
Nancy Calamusa owns a small business that helps feed infants with medical issues. She was denied COVID relief-related loans multiple times and blames fraudsters for taking advantage of the system.
You took it out of my patients' mouths, my pocket, my employees, and that's not okay.
Michael Horowitz says his oversight committee is set to expire in September 2025, but it could be extended if there are more cases that come before investigators.
Americans are battling something other than inflation when they shop. Higher card swipe fees passed on to them from merchants. According to the National Retail Federation, merchants were charged nearly $138 billion in credit card swipe fees in 2021. The NRF says the average family is paying an extra $900 yearly on items because of higher swiping fees. In April, Visa and MasterCard increased their fees again, adding more than $1 billion in costs to retailers for card payments. More pain at the pump. Peloton plummets and Starbucks gets a little sweeter. Cheryl Cassone has these stories and more in today's Business Briefs.
Gas prices hitting a new all-time high as the European Union weighs phasing out or banning oil imports from Russia. AAA reporting a national average of $4.37 for a gallon of regular. The White House blames Russia, President Vladimir Putin, for surging prices. Well, Facebook parent Meta is reconsidering its partnerships with news organizations. Social media giant reportedly noticed that fewer people have been clicking on links to news articles since President Trump left office. And just last week, Meta announced it's slowing down hiring after recording its slowest revenue growth in a decade. Peloton reporting a wider than expected quarterly loss and a steep decline in sales. The company also offering up a weak sales outlook for the fourth quarter. It's anticipating a rise in subscription pricing, which may lead some users to cancel their monthly memberships. And coffee and chocolate are joining forces. Starbucks adding a new chocolate cream cold brew to its menus. Coffee chain says the drink features cold brew coffee topped with a, quote, light, sweet, and silky chocolate cream cold foam. It's also sweetened with vanilla syrup. Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz says cold beverages like iced coffee and frappuccinos account for 80% of its business.
Disney World's first big-time roller coaster in years is about to take off. CJ Papa takes us inside Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind.
If the sold-out spring break at some of the nation's most popular theme parks is any indication, it looks like thrill rides are on the agenda for many Americans this summer. One of the most highly anticipated theme park attractions is the Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind ride, opening May 27th at Epcot in Orlando. It's expected to draw major crowds.
We really raised the level on every aspect of this ride, from creating a whole new storytelling coaster to an epic kind of story that involves a villain that's larger than a planet chasing after you through time and space.
The coaster is the first at Epcot and the first Disney attraction to feature Marvel characters. And it's the first reverse launch coaster.
We launch guests backwards with the Big Bang happening right in front of us that launches you into this adventure.
At almost 6,000 feet long, it's one of the longest fully enclosed coasters in the world. It's also an omni coaster, rotating 360 degrees. The ride features the blockbuster film's favorite cosmic outlaws, Rocket, Groot, Drax, Gamora, and Star-Lord, a.k.a. Peter Quill.
For families who haven't taken a theme park vacation in a few years, this is where you want to be. It is amazing and one of the most anticipated attractions of the summer.
Each ride is a bit different. There are 6 song possibilities, and riders won't know which soundtrack they'll get until the ride starts.
We want to leave you with a smile. May 10th is National Shrimp Day. The tasty shellfish is a popular choice when it comes to favorite seafood dishes in the country. Americans eat more shrimp than any other seafood. Shrimp is nutritious with high levels of omega-3, calcium, and other proteins. The best ways to observe the day is to make your own favorite shrimp-based dish and share it on social media using the hashtag National Shrimp Day. From our whole team, thanks for joining us. We hope you have a great rest of your day.